Co-Founder is building the central hub of the business future. We are starting with a 600 million crowd sale market today, but our final goal is the 130 billion VC investment market.
Welcome everyone again to the Blockchain Speaker Series. I'm Mark Joseph. I'll be your host today, and today we're interviewing Augustas Staras of the, now I may get the name of the project wrong, you'll have to correct me if so, Augustas, but the aigang project, which...
Correct.
Okay, I got it. So we'll of course ask Augustas to describe the project, because of course I'm not an insurance or blockchain expert, but rather an investor and an enthusiast. But from what I gather, as I understand it, it's a platform that allows for the automated origination of insurance contracts. I think origination is probably the wrong word. That's a word that's used when you issue loans, but so you'll have to correct me, but the automated origination, we'll use that word for now, origination and administration of the activities throughout the claims process from notification of an event to, I guess it's called settlement, all the way through to payment. And there's an opportunity for, what is the word, disintermediation, thereby reducing the cost structure in the industry and offering, from what I can see, some opportunities to create insurance arrangements that are prohibitively costly because of their level, because of their size at the moment. So lots of opportunity, lots of savings opportunity. So that's my preliminary understanding. If you could introduce yourself, Augustas, and tell us about your project, we'll go from there.
Sure. So first of all, hi everyone. Hi Mark, thanks for having me today. So I have more than 10 years of experience in building, managing, and growing online consumer businesses. And having spent the last several years in fintech industry, first as a managing director for online consumer company, and after that I co-founded a peer-to-peer lending company with 15,000 investors on board and 8 million euros in total loans issued. We started looking at the blockchain technology from the early days of Ethereum when we announced our ICO 2 years ago. So we had an interest to look at how blockchain can help us to move from the legacy systems of banking, of payments, and old ways of doing financial transactions. So we thought initially that blockchain is a very interesting technology, and of course the prominence is Bitcoin. Sure. But if you start looking at the blockchain, it caught us our attention that we can leverage this technology in a way that it could help reduce the friction in a way people exchange the monetary value and trade and invest and etc. So we come from basically approach of peer-to-peer and sharing economy, and with our experience in building a P2P lending company, we basically allow the retail investors to access consumer loans, and in a way we created a new asset class for them to invest, because previously it was only for banks and big financial corporations that could invest into the loans. So we really felt this power of people, right? Being on a platform, being on a one P2P network, and having this as a learning experience. We thought that what's next in developing a technology, right? So we thought of the insurance as a potentially most likely next industry that currently is not very affected by disruption by technology, right? It's still a very conservative, large, inertive market, right? And in terms of both existing market players and incumbents, right? Yeah. But as well as a consumer behavior, how they approach insurance, how they see the insurance. It's still a lot of things haven't been done by enabling technology to help them save their time, or to help them access the insurance products in a instantly and mobile environment. So this is our founding premise for aigang, which stands for Artificial Intelligence Gang, a team behind this idea.
Sure. The consumer behavior that we see it really hasn't changed, and this application can be so useful. We started hearing at the time that Ethereum really became started to get a lot of exposure. We heard about the possibility of smart contracts being utilized for the purpose of insuring devices or other types of assets, and now we're actually seeing the application, the development of the application, and it's it's really it's great that it's happening, and what we hope to see for those of us who are enthusiasts and are looking to see what the future will look like in terms of commerce and consumer behavior, and how it is that we're able to how the kinds of things that we're able to invest our time into when we're not having to handle the laborious and time-consuming matters of things like insurance. It is just one component of our consumer lives, but when we're freed up to engage in other things, it's a really big benefit. One of the, I'm wondering if you can help give us some examples of application. I know in your project's documentation, there's an example of the battery, that the battery failure and stuff like that. Could you talk to our audience? Because a lot of us, a lot of folks, we only hear about projects by way of the channels that we prefer, which is quite frequently video for a lot of us, and we don't end up learning about projects until they're already doing their ICO or have done it, and it has been very successful, and we've missed out. So if you could sort of give an example, talk through the example of what the process looks like.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, coming into insurance and thinking of how can technology help and enable new kind of insurance services. We started from the basic thinking of how insurance works, right? So there are many components and key ingredients in the insurance process right now. So we basically took an approach of reverse engineering. We took all the necessary parts and we started thinking, how can we apply technology to that process and how can we make automation in the first place, right? So our thinking right now and our work is very technology. So we position ourselves as a blockchain protocol for digital insurance, mm-hmm. and we align our vision on our product is that it can help people use this technology in an automated way, right? So both meaning that enabling new digital insurance services and products, but as well as new entrants to the market that can use this protocol to enable new insurance services. So we are not focusing on a traditional insurance, right. Let's say on life or car insurance, which is a very big market, very interesting market, but from my own experience, it's very hard and practically impossible to disrupt this kind of industry, right? So we want to build it for now. So we want to focus on an emerging trend and industry called Internet of Things or smart devices. Yeah. And we want to make sense that this technology that we are building for digital insurance can help ensure the things that will be connected or are connected already to the internet are really smart, and we can automate the way people can insure the things and as well go through all the process of insurance, making the claims, receiving the payouts, and basically managing all the full consumer or machine life cycle in terms of insurance products.
Machine life cycle, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this idea of life cycle. You've kind of talked about it a little bit. There's an adoption life cycle that you touched on a little bit, where you discussed how the disruption of the historical or the existing asset insurance market would be at the moment prohibitively difficult. It's to actually take these IRL, these real life events and activities and the systems that assess and determine outcomes for things like home and auto insurance at the moment. Well, there are issues. The various processes and the various interconnected processes are currently handled by, in many cases, humans, and the digitization of those decision-making parties and the information gathering, assessment, and decision-making parties that are handling those things is quite difficult. Whereas to get started, to at least get in terms of the life cycle of the adoption of automated insurance for devices, and then hopefully perhaps more later, has to really begin at devices, because it is only devices where, so you're the business development guy on the team, as I gather, and it's so it appears that this is really the only practical way to get started. And what does it, is this where it ends? It's probably, there's a couple questions I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are. First, if you could tell a little bit more about what other kinds of examples there might be, or just talk a little bit more, elaborate a little bit more on the process for, I guess, for the battery scenario, or the microphone or headphone jack scenario, and what it actually looks like. And then I'd be curious to know where this can go from beyond, if at all possible, beyond devices. So yeah, if you could tell a little bit more about like an actual scenario from the blow by blow.
Okay, Mark, good points. Really touches the I think the essence of where we are right now, right? So if you take one step back, right, what happened after financial crisis, people have lost a big amount of trust in a banking system, right, in the financial system.
Sure.
The big banks have bailed, right? So people started questioning: does it make sense to be part of this system when someone can really make big judgments, flaws in the judgment, right, and still get compensated in a big way, and even not being prosecuted for that, right? So, yeah. So people started thinking, I think, and it starts with a very simple example I can give you. Let's say if you take my mother, who has a life insurance, right? So the key selling point for the life insurance is that the bank is sure that if you happen to die, right, so who will take over your mortgage payments? So it's not thinking of in terms of what's a benefit for the customer, right? It's thinking of how can we protect our exposure to your mortgage, right? So yeah. It's always not a nice position to understand that, but people started thinking, does it really make sense, right? So if we go one step further, right? So there are emergence of these IoT things and smart devices, right? So we built our demo application as a mean to showcase how insurance can work on a blockchain, and how it can utilize a smart contract, right? So when we started looking at Ethereum, we thought that with this smart contract feature, right, it makes perfectly sense for insurance to be built using smart contract, because it instantly allows you to, build a trustless system, because you don't need to put your trust in an insurance company, which can fail or not fail, right? So you build a decentralized network. You built in the incentivization of all the key stakeholders in the system, right? So they are also can use the service, we can insure the service, but also we can operate as a running the network, right? So this, as a case of batteries, it's the same for any smart device. If, let's say I bought a drone, commercial drone, flying drone, right, for $2,000, and accidentally I broke it on a second day of my fun time, right? Yeah. So I was not insured. I was not even offered an insurance, right? And it costs me now to buy a new one, and I'm not in a very nice position to feel that I need to pay again.
It's an expensive toy.
But what if I had an insurance in the first place, right? What if it was integrate it or even embed into the product, right? And it was part of the process. So buying the drone. So we thought that this makes sense for the people who will be using the smart devices, and we even talk about smart cities, smart homes. Everything seems to be connected. Even your fridge will be connected to the internet, and it's real because Amazon is doing that, right? So if your fridge is running on a you're running low on milk, Amazon will send you a new package, right? So it's instantly connected. So all the devices that can be connected to the internet, they are valuable to you, because the minute you lose them, you either incur a financial loss.
Yep.
Or even in case, for example, your phone or your laptop, it even disconnects you from the world, right? So it might possibly change your cash flow position, right? So you cannot earn more money. So making an insurance for the things that are valuable was basically our premise to work on this prototype. And we started with a battery insurance to showcase how insurance policy can work as a smart contract.
Yeah, it's a really good and simple examples to get the user base or the interested parties a general understanding. But there's so many, there's really so many opportunities, and the simplest of them are the damage events. But did you describe something? I think what I was reading about in the white paper was it may be what you're just and what you talked about just now is that there's an opportunity to create protection against business losses as a result of systems failures that can be automatically compensated based on the what is it called, the schedule of the policy and stuff like that.
Yeah. So now let's say if we currently base a lot of thinking on a consumer point of view, right? So his life cycle, but as well, if you take a business, it's even more interesting. If you run an automated factory, right, who runs robots and etc. So again, there is a lot of data because everything is connected. So you can build a model, you can offer price insurance policy, right? So if something happens or breaks down, right, so automatically the factory stops working, and there is again financial loss, which can be predicted because the output is calculated, the potential loss of sales is calculated. Everything can be built on the same model, and insurance plays into that, again, the same protection or being protected in case something happens.
Yeah, this. I'm interested to sort of try to envision what the future of operations and the marriage between operations and finance will look like with the building out and the widespread application of these smart policies, because I'm getting a sense that there will be a great deal less, I think they call it lumpiness in, well, maybe it won't be that there will be less lumpiness in earnings or things like that, but with the granularity of all of the protections that are able to be put in place, the protections against loss, it seems like there may be some kind of like a smoothing of maybe forecasting of operations and earnings, and that will somehow that would likely have a great deal, that may have some value. Am I seeing something there? Is that an insight?
It's definitely interesting. Yeah, it's I think very good insight. But I mean, what I think is important here as well is that insurance is a very old industry, right? It's counting hundreds of years right now, because it started as a very simple, in a very simple way, back in the days in the Middle Ages, right? So people who employed a vehicle to say a boat to send the goods to another country.
Yeah.
So basically, there was no insurance companies back then, but people pooled their resources together, and they made a kind of insurance pool, right, to protect each member of the network. So they, let's say they were in Venice or in Southampton or whatever,
Right.
and they were sending a fleet over the to United States or whatever, right? So we had to insure against anything that can happen on the way, right? So it started as a basic thinking that let's pool our resources. It was a P2P network without even technology, and people were running this, and they're participants of that. And only then it moved to the corporations and institutions and got institutionalized in a way. But the essence, I think, it's back to the roots of community, of being being peers, being in the same network. So
that's really cool. The community can find, and your platform, from what I can understand, not an expert, but reviewing the technology, there's an incentivizing of potential interested participants to be able to profit on one side, and to be able to obtain the protection for their plans, essentially, on the other side. So it speaks to the values of what the blockchain really, there's a lot of my interviews we end up talking about how the project matches what the original vision of the blockchain was. And this really helps me see how this project in your team's vision does match that, and that's really cool.
Exactly, Mark. That's the point that drives us forward. Is if you think of them, this what in essence Airbnb and Uber allowed is allowed people earn money on underused assets. Let's say your flat was empty, but now you can rent it out. Yeah. Your car stays 95% of the time idle.
Yeah.
Now you can drive it on Saturdays and money. So the same is with your income, hard-earned income, right? You put it on a savings in a bank and it pays you close to nothing. Right?
Nothing.
So what else? Yes, nothing. I mean, minus if you take into inflation. That's right. So what else is left, right? The banks use something that's difficult to understand. Let's say you need to become a day trader of stocks, or you need to invest in a complex securities or whatnot, right? Yeah. But what is happening, I think, with the emergence of P2P lending and this financial technology is that the democratization of your hard-earned income, right? So you can have now simple to use products to how you can invest and start earning, rather than keeping that money in a bank and keeping it idle and not earning money, right? So this is part of, I think, of a big revolution. I wouldn't call it a major change, but I think it's coming again from the people's needs. It's changing a lot, right? So people, and again, I'm going back to this financial crisis, right? People started questioning: Is this real? Do we need to really use the banks? Have been used before? And if this is what my needs are they addressed? If I'm being served as a customer, right? Do I get the best investment advice? Do I get the best, offer to invest? Probably not. With these new options, at least people can choose. And then you build this incentivization of, as you mentioned, right? If you can invest your underused money into insurance policies, into insurance pools, you instantly start earning some money back, right? Because the insurance works as a mathematical statistical model, right? It has calculated profit margins, which are very high in the traditional insurance business because, as you mentioned, there are a lot of players in between, middlemen, right? So there is a brokers, there is a salesman, and then network of the sales, right? So we need to pay, and traditional insurance has to pay a lot of cost into maintaining the insurance sales network. Yeah. Into digital technology, you try to enable new digital insurance services, and then you benefit from the people in the network, right? So they pool the money to the insurance policies and pools, and they cover other people's needs to be insured. Yeah. And I think it's mutually beneficial, right? It's one side gets return on investment, the other side gets a protection in a financial loss or whatnot.
It's so useful. These kinds of projects are moving us towards, I don't know what you would call it, full utilization of global resources, personal, institutional resources. You know, at the end of the day, we are all institutions are made up of us individuals. So it is really boils down to individual resources and the full utilization of them, by way of what you described as accessible. I don't know the words you use, but accessible options to put those resources to work is moving us towards this. There's some idea. There is a notion out there that I'm sure you've heard of, that we really are not living in a time of scarcity. That the problems that we're seeing are a result of disconnects and inefficiencies, and we actually live in a world of great abundance. And if we can, these are ideas from the peer-to-peer or sharing economy, and if we can move towards greater utilization and application of the resources and distribution, then we can take care of each other. And so that's a nice future to look forward to.
Exactly. Yes.
So, looking forward to the future, I'm looking over your homepage, and your ICO is listed on ICO Countdown, but I forgot what it is. Can you tell us what the roadmap looks like for the rest of 2017?
Yeah. So we came out with the demo apps in early July. So we are very happy with the positive feedback because we built a working demo on Ethereum testnet. So it actually works as a test product. You can insure your product, get a quote, make a contract for insurance. So we are really, really happy with that, with the positive feedback from the customers. Well, we are early customer. So what we are currently working on and focusing in August is to release the second part of P2P insurance, is to invite people to test out the investment into insurance pools, insurance policies. So this is our focus for now. Intensive summer, a lot of work to do because it's not easy, but we have the right expertise in a team from insurance. We have right expertise in technology and as well connecting that with the business and marketing side. So looking forward for September and October is, we want to approach at some point start looking at distributing the token and inviting people to back this vision and be early backers of the project going and help us go forward. But before I say that, it's important to understand that so much things are happening right now. There is so much uncertainty. What concerns Bitcoin on the 1st of August,
sure.
There is a lot of uncertainty about Ethereum doing the move to change to a proof of stake, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at this, and we currently cannot confirm the exact date and exact plans. But what we are focusing right now is August, which is very close to us right now, and we want to release more technology and allow people to touch and feel the full package of insurance, of P2P insurance.
Great. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm wondering, I'm curious about what the users will look like. What type of enthusiasts? Because there are various levels of investors and levels of involvement from folks in the community like myself, and I'm probably not at a very deep level of involvement because I wouldn't really. It wouldn't occur to me to why I would spend the time to learn how to utilize the second part of the product that's put out in August. I'm just curious from an adoption progression standpoint, what is the profile of that kind of a user? I know that there are some forums where there are community enthusiasts who are lot more knowledgeable than I am on things like Bitcoin talk forums and stuff like that. And in your Slack channel, even there are guys that are guys and gals that are just entirely more have a lot more expertise. What is the profile of some of these users, and how does the user base go from those kinds of early adopter, I guess, types of user profiles to more to general population, or just normal enthusiast level types of users like myself?
Yeah, very good question. I think if we imagine our ideal customer profile, right? So it's definitely a blockchain enthusiast right now, right? So, and what we can and want to offer to them is, when you think of your money, right, and thinking of financial return, it's always wise to diversify. And currently the options are, kind of a little bit limited in the blockchain industry, right? In the industry space, is that you can invest into coins, you can invest into, ICOs and etc. But what we want to do is build more like a more classical investment product in terms of, securitizing.
Securitization, sure.
Yeah. So it's not that we focus on a very high returns and etc. But we want to build some stable, good investment product. So that, I think, makes a lot of sense to those people who are looking how we can put part of that. Part of the savings and money they have to some different products, right? Because currently it's very limited, right, at the moment, and everyone is looking at the same options, right? It's like a Bitcoin, Ethereum, or another new ICO project,
and
right?
all of them are very volatile.
Yeah, and it's again, volatility. Good point here. But my ultimate vision is, if I now again go back to my mother and I try explain her blockchain, so she she just moves away and walks away from me. I cannot explain her blockchain technology at the moment. So my ultimate goal is to build that product for insurance, that she can insure her husband's laptop or whatever using the application, and that would be so easily. And then she could start looking at it. Oh wow, it works on a blockchain. Interesting. What's that? Yeah. And then she can be hooked in, and that's, I think, an interesting part to cross the bridge of current, the early adopters of the blockchain, which is a very strong and powerful community. But if we cannot make a product that it's or application that it's meaningful for the mass adoption, then we can be part of the community which will be locked in and boiling in our own juices, right? So we cannot talk even to the world because they cannot understand what is blockchain. It's very hard to explain to them. But if we bring some meaningful value to the mass user, right? I think there will be a very, very good times ahead.
Yeah, cross the bridge to that demographic of your mother, and then her friends will see how easy it was for her to insure her husband's laptop, and then it can get the adoption that we really need to have, so that we aren't just a closed community. I'm wondering, can you tell a little bit about how is it that the potential investor base looking to diversify into some of our assets into a more stable class, such as these insurance contracts? How is it that what are the marketing plans to create the awareness of the availability? If you could talk about how it is that you're actually going to be able to offer these and get the word out.
Yeah, so there are many stages in play here. First is regulation. Insurance has to be regulated product and market, right? So we cannot bring something out which is half baked and already working. So we focus now on doing the legal analysis and evaluating where we can present our insurance model to the regulator, that he can stamp it and say it's okay.
You mean which countries?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and the second one is, marketing is always, I think, is based on a good product, right? If you have a good product,
Okay.
marketing works itself. So we started with the applications, demo applications in July. So far, so good. We have very, very positive feedback from people. It brings a lot of ideas, and we get currently a lot of offers and even requests. You can make insurance for GPU servers, right?
Yeah.
Because we run our Bitcoin mining, and if they break or heat off, right? So I need insurance.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of positive feedback, and again,
Great.
August is P2P investment. We want to showcase again on an Ethereum testnet, working as smart contracts. You can invest your test ethers, you can play around, you can see an actually working product. So if that is a value for the customers, I think we'll be in a good place.
Yeah. Well, and with the community as strong as it already is, it seems like a reasonable expectation to see that progression. So let's see, Augustas. We usually just do about 45 minutes, 45 or 50 minutes, and so at this point, I'll ask you. The project sounds excellent. I would say a lot of people are really glad to see the applications that are starting to develop again, because we originally you kind of mentioned that the most natural thought to application of smart contracts is with insurance. So now we're seeing it, and I can see you guys are doing great work, and so I'll just let you know. Is there anything else that I'll just ask you? Is there anything else that you think that we should talk about today that we didn't cover?
Well, I think we covered the main points, and actually very, very happy to have this interview today with you. I even wrote down the granularity. I need to think of this because it's really something that expands the thinking behind, and so very insightful. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Augustas. And on behalf of the YouTube investor audience, we do our research when we can, and it's helpful to do some reading and be in the Slack channel. But a lot of us, what really tells us about the viability and the future success of a project is to hear the founders talk about their vision and their values and belief systems. And so I think everyone is really appreciates hearing from you today. And so yeah, I also want to thank you on behalf of our channel. I want to say thank you for joining us on our channel. We'll look forward to doing a little bit of editing, not much here, and publishing, and I'll let you know when that's. I'll drop a link into the Slack to announce that that's been published. So yeah, once again, Augustas, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. You have a great day.
Thank you so much. Pleasure being today with you. So yeah, let's keep in contact. I think if we have more updates, we'll happily share with you.
Well, sure. That sounds great. I appreciate the that you found the interview to be useful, and I will offer that as you have you launch your August product update or additional product that's launched in August and thereafter, if you feel that this is a venue or a platform that you find useful for communicating your project's development stage of development, and then please feel free to contact me. We can do another interview.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
My pleasure. Okay, bye for now, Augustas. You take care.
Bye. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.